Once again, welcome friends in my channel Chalk and Talk, and we was in the continuity of the neuroanatomy sessions. In this series, we was discussing about the midbrain, transverse section of the midbrain. We started from the spinal cord, different tract of the spinal cord, afferent, efferent, etc. And with few basics, we reach up to the midbrain. The inferior colliculus level TS was previous session, and in this session we are discussing about the superior colliculus level. So there is a superior colliculus in the tectum part, of this level, superior colliculus. This is representing the superior colliculus. Okay, so this is known as superior colliculus level. We can compare. I draw this smaller diagram for the comparison. The inferior colliculus was there on the inferior caudal level, inferior one, and this is the superior colliculi level. The superior colliculi. Okay. Now we will talk about the same. We will revise very sharply those things which are similar in both sections. First of all, when we are talking about the crux cerebri, whether this diagram, the crux cerebri is separated by the substantia nigra, which is narrower on the lateral side and broader on the medial side, which is dividing into the pars compacta as well as the pars reticularis, ventral one, the pars sector. Similarly, a curvilinear, if I are drawing the pigmented layer, which is more broader on the medial side and narrower at the lateral side and divided into two parts. Upper part is compact and lower part is laticularis, pars reticularis and pars compacta. This is separating the crux part. Okay, this is again the substantia nigra, which is curvilinear, which is broader on the medial side, and this part is associated with the function of the basal ganglion. The dorsal pars is pars compacta and the ventral part is pars reticularis. So this is the substantia nigra. This substantia nigra. The reticularis part is receiving the afferent fiber from basal ganglion, and the compacta, which is associated with the dopaminergic cells, is sending some efferent to this one. But ultimately, this is dividing this crus cerebri into three parts. We discussed previously the lateral 1/6 part. This is the lateral 1/6 part associated with the temporopontine fibers. The medial 1/6 is associated with the frontopontine fibers. I can indicate them by this red dotted area. But the major part is this one. That is, you can say, the rest 4/6 or middle 2/3. This middle 2/3 having the cortico-spinal and bulbar fibers, cortico-spinal fibers. This is associated with the pyramidal tract, and this also justify our theme that ventral aspect of the brain as stem is associated with the motor fibers. So this is majorly having the cortico-pontine fiber, cortico-spinal fibers associated with this one. Let's complete this diagram. The medial 1/6 having the frontopontine fiber. We say having the frontopontine fibers. The lateral 1/6 having the temporopontine fibers, and the corticopontine fibers, the middle 2/3 or 4/6, remaining 4/6 corticobulbar fibers, which will later on, whether on the nuclei, different nuclei of the brainstem, or that will relate to the different part of the spinal cord and working as the upper motor neuron, that is also known as pyramidal tract. For knowing much about the pyramidal tract, you should revise my video which was sending the motor fibers. Okay, that part is similar in both. That part is similar in whether it's a inferior colliculus level or the superior colliculus level. The other thing which is similar, that is the cerebral aqueduct. This is cerebral aqueduct is similar. Okay, but aqueduct is similar. That is also similar here. Here in the cerebral aqueduct, there was the fourth nerve nuclei. This was associated with the fourth nerve, and this will be associated with the third nerve. As we are ascending upward, the level of nerve, this is associated with the sequential level of the nerve. The midbrain associated with the third and fourth. The pons associated with the fifth, sixth, seventh. Okay, and then there was 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. These were associated medulla and so on. Sorry, 8, 9, 10 onwards. That is associated with the medulla, and this is cerebral aqueduct. Okay, we previously discussed, in a previous session we discussed the part, this part up to the substantia nigra. This is known as crux cerebri. Imaginary line passing through the aqueduct separates the crux cerebri from the tectum above. If I am drawing an imaginary line, that will be the tegmentum. This part will be known as the tegmentum. That word helps us to understand the tegmental tract, dorsal or ventral tegmental tract, tegmentum, and about there is the tectum. And in the tectum, you can see there is the superior colliculus. In the tectum of the inferior level, there was the inferior colliculus. Okay. Now, one almost similar thing in a necklace-shaped form, the tract medial lemniscus. Medial lemniscus. I think we are familiar with the medial lemniscus. The medial lemniscus, in short, I am writing it as ML, medial lemniscus. It's not medial longitudinal fasciculus. I want to revise again. I revised it previously. The medial lemniscus concerned with the sensory perception of the body. It concerned with the dorsal column. It is the extension of the dorsal column that will relate into the ventro-posterior lateral aspect of the thalamus, that carrying sensation. This is generated after the sensory decussation in the medulla, and these fibers will reach up to the ventro-posterior lateral aspect of the thalamus. These carrying the proprioception. This is the part of the dorsal column. This is the medial lemniscus. Associated with the medial lemniscus, second one, if I am similar, it's similar in both area. If I want to draw this one, medial lemniscus, then there is the trigeminal lemniscus. This is the trigeminal lemniscus, and we can understand the trigeminal lemniscus is this. Trigeminal lemniscus is actually ventro-trigeminal thalmic tract. This is from the lower part of the body. From the lower part of the body, the senses, proprioception is carried by this medial lemniscus. When we are talking about the trigeminal, the face and associated area, the senses carries by the trigeminal nerve, whether it's the spinal nucleus trigeminal, mesencephalic nucleus or trigeminal nerve, or the motor sensory, primary sensory nucleus of this one, and that is divided into a ventral trigeminal thalmic tract, and we will draw here the dorsal trigeminal thalmic tract. We can draw here that this is dorsal trigeminal lemniscus tract. This is the dorsal, somewhere here, the dorsal one. So we can draw this one. But the major tract which you can see here is the trigeminal lemniscus tract, and that is actually ventral trigeminal thalmic tract. Ventral trigeminal thalmic tract. Dorsal is here. Dorsal is this one. This is dorsal. The third one, an important one, is the spinal lemniscus. There is the spinal lemniscus. The spinal lemniscus concerned with the pain pathway and the temperature pathway, and the medial lemniscus concerned with the proper reception. Three things are similar here. The trigeminal or ventral trigeminal thalmic tract here, and then there is this is the spinal one. But last one, that was lateral lemniscus, is found only on the inferior level, because lateral lemniscus concerned with the auditory senses, So this auditory senses relate by the inferior brachium into the medial geniculate body on the lower level. But now that is over. From the medial geniculate body to the area number 41 and 42, the pathway is over, because this transfer all of their senses at the inferior level. So this tract is not present here. Now the MTSL is converted into MTS. Lateral lemniscus is over in the superior colliculus level. That's making the first difference. The lateral lemniscus is lapsing. Okay, lateral lemniscus was present on the inferior colliculus level because it's sending efferent majorly. They are sending many efferent, and we should discuss in some other lecture what is the superior colliculus, inferior colliculus, about lateral lemniscus and the medial lemniscus. But now we are coming, the lateral lemniscus is absent here and nothing like this there. Okay, then now we are moving a very important aspect of this one in the midline structure. We read here, there was the rubrospinal tract, the tectospinal tract, and the medial longitudinal fasciculus. Let's talk about the midline structure here. Number one, the very specific red nucleus is present bilaterally. These are pink in color. Covered by the capsule, and these are receiving majorly their afferent from the cerebellum, cerebello-rubro, but it also receiving afferent from the cortical area number 4, area number 6, that is known as cortico-rubro. Majorly two type of afferent. One, this is the major nucleus for the cerebellum area. This is receiving cerebello-rubral. That is, this is also receiving from the major motor area, that is area number 4 and area number 6. So this is known as cortico-rubro, and then its fiber decussates. And that is very specific. So I am labeling this one as red nucleus, which is almost pink in color due to the overloaded pigmentation of iron. This is concerned with the cerebellum pathway, and how that in the previous round we talk about the rubrospinal pathway is first time generating the rubrospinal pathway or rubro-bulbar pathway, rubro-bulbar, which can be seen at the lower level as the rubrospinal, which was considered as a rubrospinal. But afferent from two places, one from the cerebellum, cerebello-rubro, and the cortico-rubro, ultimately decussate here, and because they are in the ventral part of the tegmentum, this is known as ventral tegmental decussation. Actually, ventral tegmental decussation is the decussation of the efferent fiber which is generated from the rubral or red nucleus, which is descend downward in an inferior level, that is considered as the rubrospinal or rubrobulbar. Here I want to say efferent of the rubro tract, red nucleus tracts, goes in three areas. First, number one, that is majorly from the rubrospinal, which are going to govern the spinal cord, similarly as corticospinal, for the fine movements. Okay. Second thing, it's also creating the rubro-bulbar, which is majorly governed the 5th and 7th nerve. Okay. But this also creates another pathway that is going to the lateral aspect of thalamus. We talk about the rubrospinal. And reaching to the ventral lateral nucleus of the thalamus and generating the cerebro-rubro-thalmic tract or dento-rubro-thalmic tract, because the afferent fiber for the red nucleus are coming from the cerebellum, from globulus ampliformis and dentate nucleus, GLED. Okay, so this tract is generated as major efferent for the red nucleus is the rubrospinal, rubrobulbar and ventrolateral nucleus also. Okay, that's the end. That is very specific feature of this level. This what not present here. Actually, outcome of this decussation, that is rubrospinal tract, was present here. Okay, if the ventral tegmental decussation is present, definitely there will be the dorsal tegmental decussation, and that is also a specificity of this level. We will discuss this one. Now coming toward this area, now this ventral and caudal to this superior colliculus, a very specific nucleus in place of, there should be one thing was lapsing, that was the lateral lemniscus. But another nucleus can be seen in the pretactal nucleus. Very interesting nucleus, and this is concerning with the pupillary reflex. We will discuss in next few minutes how it's concerned with the pupillary reflex. Okay, that is pretactal nucleus. Now I am coming toward a more specific zone, and that is the third nerve nucleus. Look at this, by this midline in cerebral aqueduct, this zone is third nerve nucleus. Third nerve nucleus, actually want to say this is the third nerve nucleus complex is better word. Third nerve, third cranial nerve, that is the oculomotor nerve, cranial nucleus. Not only nucleus is actually complex. Why? This is divided into the dorsolateral part. This is divided into dorsolateral part, intermediate part, ventromedial part and superior part. Okay, this is divided into parts. Not only that, the more dorsally there is another nucleus which is associated with the complex, carrying the parasympathetic fiber to the pupillary reaction, and that is known as Adinger-Westphal nucleus. Adinger-Westphal nucleus. We know now ciliary ganglion, that is carrying all the fibers. The third nerve which is supplying, which is general somatic efferent, because the muscles of eyeball and the muscle of the tongue basically not derived from the ankle arches. They are general somatic efferent fibers. Third nerve nuclei which is supplying the extraocular muscles except superior oblique and the lateral rectus. This is a complex with more dorsolaterally present Adinger-Westphal nucleus which is carrying the parasympathetic nucleus. We can understand these are the nucleus for the third nerve. Again, one similar thing present in the inferior level also and superior level also, the mesencephalic nucleus of trigeminal nerve. We discuss a lot in the pons, we discuss a lot in the inferior colliculus level, that is mesencephalic nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. So we will not discuss much about this one. Okay. that is mesencephalic nucleus of the trigeminal nerve. Okay. Now we are discussing about the third nerve. Third nerve is emerging bilaterally from this zone. This goes and passes ventrally. It's not like the fourth nerve. It's not like the fourth nerve. This is carrying fiber from the Edinger-Westphal nucleus as well as the third nerve nucleus. So it's genosomatic efferent as well as the general visceral efferent too. Okay, this is the third nerve bilaterally. This is very important information because third nerve passing ventrally. If any damage to this zone, that will cause the damage to the third nerve as well as the corticonuclear, corticovalvular, etc. fibers. Okay, this is third nerve complex. Now, let's talk about the superior colliculus. How the superior colliculus is receiving fibers. Okay, the first efferent, the afferent for the superior colliculus level. The superior colliculus is connected by the superior brachium to the lateral geniculate body. Lateral geniculate body. Geniculate body. This is superior brachium and this is superior colliculus. This is lateral geniculate body. Opposite to the previous one, the inferior colliculus, the inferior brachium and the medial geniculate body. This whole system concerned with the auditory pathway and this system concerned with the visual pathway. This system concerned with the visual pathway. How? Now the reticulotactal fibers, because this is reaching to the tectum area, the optic from the retina, the fibers are going here also, and the fiber also reaching to the superior colliculus level. Superior colliculus level. Okay. Not only that, the fiber from the area number 18 and 19 also reaching to this zone. Okay. So fibers from the retinal area, that is retinotactal fibers, plus cortical fiber 18 and visual associated area, sending the cortical fiber, corticotactal fibers are reaching in this zone. And this is also connected with this pretactal. Now listen very carefully, and it's a very beautiful thing. Not only that, this is also receiving fibers from the inferior colliculus. I will explain many fibers. But first of all, let's talk about this A type of fiber. This is A type of fiber which are coming from the retina, the macular part of retina, which is projected into the superior colliculus, then is projected into the pretactal nucleus, and now very wonderful thing. This pretactal nucleus not only projecting fibers to the ipsilateral Edinger-Westphal nucleus, this also projecting, same fiber also going and encircling and relying on the other Edinger-Westphal nucleus. So, once light is thrown in this side, that will irritate or that will stimulate the Edinger-Westphal nucleus of both sides. That's the reason why there is a pupillary reaction if you are putting light in one eye, because the pretactal nucleus is concerning with the both side Edinger-Westphal nucleus. So if you are throwing a light in one eye, there will be pupillary reaction in the both eye. Number one. Number two, because cortico fibers etc. is coming here, but very important, but this pink color line, that is connection from the inferior colliculus level, is also going to the superior colliculus, inferior colliculus concerning with the auditory pathway, and it is coming to the visual one. So if there is a sound on this side, I move toward this side, that is justifying that how the eye moved toward the sound side. Okay, number one was the first pathway was the retinotactal pathway going to the pretactal nucleus, then both sides of Edinger-Westphal nucleus are ignited, that is justifying the pupillary reaction. Second one, the fibers from the inferior colliculus going to the superior colliculus, that means the auditory is participating into the visual one. So once the sound is on one side, that will lead to the movement of eye toward that side. Okay, that was justification. Now very important thing is that the fibers from this tectum, is coming and decussating more dorsally in the tegmentum. This is decussating more dorsally in the tegmentum. Because this is dorsally decussating, this is known as dorsal tegmental tract or decussation. Okay. This will create, similar to the rubrospinal tract, this will create the tecto-bulbar, tecto-nuclear, tecto-bulbar, tecto-nuclear or tecto-spinal tract. Tecto-spinal tract. This also receiving from spinal matter also, but now this tract will be known as tecto-spinal, tecto-bulbar. Okay, we are very familiar with the tecto-bulbar tract because this tecto-bulbar tract associated with the cranial number 3rd, cranial number 4 and cranial number 6. These are the muscle which is supplying to the extraocular muscle, and this is creating a coordination in between the muscle. So tecto-bulbar is a very important tract which concerned with the 3rd nerve, which concerned with the 4th nerve, which concerned with the 6th nerve, and this tract causes the coordination in between these nerves so that extraocular muscle can be coordinate with each other. Okay, eye movement can be coordinate with each other. That is tecto-bulbar. This is also going tecto-spinal tract and other different also. But I am going toward two majorly, and this decussation is known as dorsal tegmental decussating. Okay, now two specifics are clarified. Ventral tegmental decussating. In the tegmental part, the decussating is actually red nucleus efferent fiber decussating. And when talking about the dorsal tegmental decussating, this is associated with the fibers coming from the superior colliculus, and majorly it is concerned with the visual area. Okay, the superior colliculus receive afferent from the tectum, afferent from the retina, afferent from the cortical area as well as the spinal level, because visual effect is spinal. Okay, suppose somebody touches you, so your eye move toward that side. This also concerning with the spinal part. Okay, but these are the major two specific feature I want to dot them. One is the dorsal tegmentum decussating, another the ventral tegmental decussating, and lastly a familiar medial longitudinal fasciculus. A balancing pathway is always just ventral to this aqueduct in the midline in the series. Okay, look at this one. You can see all this one. Yeah, this is on inferior level. This is known as ventral tegmental tract, which is a result of output of this dorsal tegmental decussating. You can see the rubro-bulbar pathway, which is the output of this ventral tegmental decussating of the red nucleus, and you can see the medial longitudinal fasciculus as it is in the inferior level 2. So a few features are different from the inferior colliculus, and inferior colliculus level is a majorly concerned with the auditory pathway, because the lateral lemniscus auditory pathway gives their fibers to the inferior colliculus, while the inferior brachium they goes into the lateral geniculate body, and in area number 41 and 42 the primary auditory cortex. Here the superior colliculus, which is concerning with the visual area, receiving the fibers from the retina, from the inferior colliculus, from the spinal level, all, and from the cortical level too, and decussate and creating the tecto-bulbar, tecto-spinal and other type of fibers, and this is known as dorsal tegmental tract. So these are very specific picture. One specific picture which was present in the inferior level, that the fourth nerve emerging from the dorsal side, that is not happening here. That is not happening here. The dorsal side is free. Okay, dorsal side, no, nothing is on dorsal side. This is medial, this is lateral geniculate body is on upper half side. The medial geniculate on lower side. This is superior brachium, this is the inferior brachium, this is the inferior colliculus, this is the superior colliculus. On space, the lateral lemniscus is absent in the superior level because the function of the lateral lemniscus is over on the inferior level. First, when the pretactal nucleus is present here, which is associated with the pupillary reflex. Okay, rest MTS is present, allelapsing. Dorsal tegmental, dorsal trigeminal lemniscus tract is as it is there. Okay, substantia nigra is there, and third nerve is there. So there are two features which is separating this one, but majorly the area of concern is that the inferior level concerned with the auditory pathway and this superior level concerned with the visual pathway. Okay, you should try some short note or read about the superior colliculus and inferior colliculus, efferent and afferent for the superior colliculus and the inferior colliculus. That given a very interesting picture how clinically the pupillary reflex is there, how the spinal, the touch fiber, if you are touching somebody in the one half of body, the eyes are moving that side. Okay, this explains many a thing at this level. I think you will like this video. I am thankful your view toward my channel. Kindly share and appreciate my effort. Thank you, friends.